This is our second listening lesson, and we're going to revisit both the elements of music and the idea that you are a film director and you're trying to find the right soundtrack for your movie. The first soundtrack, actually both of these, have been used in movies. They were meant to evoke certain emotions and a certain mood in the audience and were deliberately used for that purpose. The Wizard of Oz, it came out in the Great Depression era. So in 1929, the stock market crashed. That just means that there was there were bankruptcies, widespread poverty. Social assistance was limited to programs like food kitchens, and the lineups for food were greater than the supply of food. So people lived in a horrible reality, and music was actually used on purpose to help people forget about their difficult lives. They wanted to have an escape from all the challenges that were bringing them down, all the weight of reality. So music was meant to be silly and happy. This music was used in a movie in order to create that silly, happy feel. So you're going to think of, okay, if I were looking for something that had this silly, happy feel, what would be happening in this scene? What scene would I put this with if I were directing this movie? So the acting that's actually going on in this scene is very clown-like. You can hear the sudden ups, the sudden sounds, the light, skippy articulation. Let's connect all these sounds to our elements of music. You've got some very high pitch. You've got texture that's got more variety because you've got an orchestra, which is part of that time period. The articulation is skippy and bouncy at times. Your duration is quick and short because the characters light on their feet with their clown-like actions. And dynamics, you have those changes, a little bit louder, a little bit softer, just to create that stumbling and surprising feel. And the tempo is reasonably quick as well. There you'll actually hear some mutes on the trumpets. That's when you put something into the trumpet to block the sound from coming out, and it makes it sound almost like it's got its nose plugged. It's very nasal. So imagine what movie scene you would think of. Perhaps you're thinking of one that is light and skippy, so it makes you think of a silly scene, or a clown scene, or it makes you think of someone being a stumbling idiot sort of thing, where they're stumbling over their own 2 feet, that comedy style. Once you've picked your scene, make sure that you say what element made it seem like that. Is it the articulation that's bouncy that makes it seem like the character is dancing around or is stumbling over their own 2 feet? Is it the pitch that is high that makes it seem happier and like it belongs with some sort of scene that has a positive feel to it? Is it the tone color with the variety of instruments making you think that a lot is going on, or maybe the muted trumpets making you think that they're trying to be silly? There's a lot of different ideas. Just make sure you explain the scene, pick one of the elements of music and describe it, and then explain how that element creates that image of that scene in your mind. The explanation goes here. Pause the video right now so you can do your writing. Now we're going to look at a more recent soundtrack. It's from a movie that's fairly recent, and it's a lot more recent than the Great Depression. And we're going to look at the contrast, the different feel, the different atmosphere established by this music. want you to tell me what it makes you think of because you're just going to tell me about that movie. I want you to look at how is it different from The Wizard of Oz, and which song do you feel represents your generation more. When you're talking about how it's different, remember that on a rubric we still need to use musical terms. So you might be explaining, well, it's the articulation, that it's a lot more pounding, it's a lot more harsh and aggressive in the articulation. There's a lot more drums, there's a lower pitch. All of these things seem more aggressive and darker and more exciting and possibly even threatening. So that gives you that conflict that you would have in a movie. You might also look at the texture. Yes, you have the melody above, but you have quite a lot of instruments filling in that the middle ground and the lower end as well, which is creating a much thicker, broader texture. So it gives it more strength, more power than a thinner texture. You've got some timbre, some tone colors that are more electronic. You've got some electric guitars in there. You've also got some digitized sounds that you can mess with and distort, and it makes it sound more modern when it's using technology like that was not available back in the 30s when the other movie was made. The tempo is, well, it kind of fits with the rhythm. The rhythm it's got a strong pulse to it, but it does have enough energy to it to achieve that aggressive feel. So if we take some of those ideas back to the question, how is it different from The Wizard of Oz? Well, you've got the broadness and the pitch. You've got a lot of deeper sounds. You've got much harsher articulation. You've also got some tone colors that are very distinctive of this generation as opposed to other generations. And then once you've explained how it's different, remember there's a second question. Which song do you feel represents your generation more? So what is it about that song? Pick one, obviously, and then what is it about that song that makes it feel like it's your music as opposed to your grandparents' music? And make sure to explain it. Remember that when I mark you, I'm using this rubric up here. If you've mentioned some sounds and some ideas, you've got the level 2, but you need to explain the connection. How do those sounds make you think of those ideas? The full explanation using terms like the elements of music, the ones that are bold up here, that's what gets you the level 3. The level 4, you've given more description and more detail in your explanation, so I can tell that you really thought about the sounds and the way they made you react and why they made you react that way. You might be looking at the overall atmosphere, the overall feel of the song, as well as just one specific element. And the level wow, the 90s and above, that's where you've got very descriptive vocabulary that's really capturing those thoughtful ideas. You need to choose your words carefully to get that extra meaning to bump you into the level wow.